Welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of the Invest This Podcast. Of course, I am your host, Scott Bauer, and today we have the #1 money mentor in the world with us today, Mr. Chris Naugle. How are you, man?
I'm awesome, man. I'm doing great.
So, I'll kind of give a little bit of information about you, but then I'll kind of turn it over for you. I know you've built several businesses. You've been in and around the investment space for quite a long time, 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah, a little over.
A little over 20 years. Managed millions of dollars worth of assets in the financial sector, tens of millions of dollars in the real estate sector. You've got a TV show. You come well acclaimed. Is basically what I'm trying to get to.
It's been a busy couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean that's good, right? That's been preparing you for where we're at today, and I think that's I'm excited to have you on here to talk about money because everybody who's listening to this podcast right now is having the same questions and conversations that we're about to have, right? It is the #1 thing that people are worried about right now. And money's a weird thing because a lot of people don't like to talk about it. They really don't like to talk about it. It's like that weird child in the room you don't want to talk about, but everybody knows it's there, right?
Yeah. And money's kind of like this.
That's exactly right. But at the same time, if you understand how the money works, it's really not scary at all, right? And so, I guess let's get started. I'll turn the mic over to you. Give the listeners a little bit more about your background. For those of you that aren't familiar with Chris, here he is.
All right. So, I always start with my childhood because a lot of people think people in money, people that have a strong understanding of money come from money. Well, that's not the case. I grew up in a lower middle class family, struggled for everything we ever had. My mom struggled to keep a roof over our head. When I got to be 16, got a big boy job at a restaurant, but that restaurant owner degraded me and put me down so bad that I literally was clinically depressed. And I remember one day I went into work and I quit. I quit trading hours for dollars. I came home to mom. I said, Mom, you're going to be mad. I quit the job. I can't do it. And I thought my mom was going to be upset, but she was happy for me. And I said, Mom, I want to open a clothing line in the basement. So that was my first business. 16 years old. Business was called Fat Clothing Company, skateboard, snowboard clothing, with a PH, that is. And I did that. And I started doing it for, all my friends in school. I'd print shirts after school. I'd sell them the next day. I'd make 24 shirts. And that's kind of how that business got off the ground. A year later, and just so everybody knows, I was an aspiring professional snowboarder. I live in Buffalo, New York, not exactly the snowboard mecca of the country, but it was my mecca, and that's where I started it. So I had to work twice as hard. But in doing my clothing line, what I had the luxury of doing is traveling to snowboard contests. I'd see a lot of shops, and I'd stop in the shops, and they'd sell my clothing. And as I was doing that, I started developing this big dream in my mind of having my own shop. So at 17, that dream started materializing. I said, I got the clothing line, Fat Clothing. I want my own shop called Fat Man because Fat Clothing, I was the man, combine them together. And all I needed was $70,000 to open this store. Well, I didn't have anyone that had money, but I put together a business plan that I learned how to do by going to the library and the Small Business Development Center. Back then, I'm talking, this is 1993, this began. There wasn't the internet. There wasn't like Google. It was libraries, folks. So that's how I did it. And I remember I got told no so many times. Everybody I asked, no, absolutely not. Every bank turned me down. And then I got one bank that said, kid, we like this idea. We like you, and we're going to give you a shot. And I'm like, oh yeah, but we need collateral. And I'm like, what is collateral? And they're like, well, something worth what we're going to loan to you. I'm like, great. I have baseball cards. I have a 1986 Buick. I got a bicycle. I literally I was so just not prepared for that. So I thought that was going to die. My mom saw me about to lose this dream, and she put her house. The only thing she had in the world was the house she got in the divorce. She put her house on the line so her crazy punk snowboard, son could go chase his dream. And Fat Man Board Shops was opened November of 1994. And I ran that store all the way up until 2010 when I sold it. But a lot happened in between there. You see, the stores were my dream. I went on to be a pro snowboarder. I ran these shops, and it was a lifestyle brand, and it was doing really well until the early 2000s. Now, I never knew even what a recession was. And I remember vividly driving to work on a sunny day, driving to my new store that we just opened. And I remember hearing about a plane crashing into the towers. And obviously, that was the start of the tech bust, that recession in the early 2000s, and obviously the war. So when all that kicked in, my retail stores plummeted. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, this is my dream. I can't let this fail. So I went and got a job. But I didn't just land in any job because I could deliver pizzas, but I ended up getting a job in the financial industry. It was June of 2003. I started as a financial advisor, and I hated it at the first. I almost quit, but I stuck it out, and I ended up climbing through the ranks as an advisor, and I started loving it because I was learning how money worked from the conventional way: stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And as I did this, I climbed the ranks. I became one of the top 3 advisors. And by 2008, I was crushing it. I'd even flipped 2 houses at this point, because why not? I saw it on TV. Why not flip a house? Epic fails, but I did it. And 2008, I decided I was going to develop a strip mall. Well, you guys remember, or maybe you don't remember 2008, but that was the Great Recession. That's when it started. Yep. And at that moment, I was $370,000 into a hard money loan with a guy that I should have never borrowed money from. I call him Knuckles. And I had a half-finished strip mall when the whole thing hit. And my income from my financial advisory went to 0. My retail stores dropped 30%. I didn't have any money saved. I got to the point where I was 1 payment away from being completely bankrupt. And I knew that if I went bankrupt, Knuckles wasn't just going to take my plaza, and he was going to come take maybe a couple fingers or something. You know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
But this night, I remember I drove home, and my girlfriend had just moved in, and I said to her, sweetie, I need your help. I need your help paying the mortgage. I need your help paying the utilities. And by the way, my friend Pete's going to move into that bedroom because I can't make it. It was a 50-50 shot, right? I had to do something. She could have walked out the door and been like, dude, see you later. Or, she could have stayed. And well, you know the story. She stayed. And at that point, we kind of got through that time, barely. And I started buying real estate because Warren Buffett always says, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. Well, 2009, guess what was on sale? Just like what's going to happen this time, real estate. Right. So I started buying it. 2009 to 14, I bought real estate. I got up to 36 units. You would say, wow, great. You were up here, then you lost it all, and then you climbed back up. Well, not quite. You see, I still only knew the conventional ways about how money worked. Everything you've been taught your whole life, just so you know, about money is pretty much a big lie. And that's all I knew. I was drinking the Kool-Aid as the advisor. I thought I knew everything. I was in this mix. I had 36 units, and 37 units is when the cards tumbled. It's when the dominoes went down. The bank said, Mr. Naugle, you don't fit in our little square box anymore. And I said, what does that mean? Well, your debt to income ratio isn't going to qualify you for this 37th loan, so we can't give it. I said, okay. Now I got 36. Oh, and by the way, Mr. Naugle, all those lines of credit we gave you to do the renovations on those properties? Yeah, we're going to freeze all those, and we're going to call that one right there. What? The cards went down, folks. The house of cards went down, and so did all 36 units. I had to sell all of them. The dream house that I had bought with my fiance, who was that, Larissa, who had moved in, that had to be sold. And here I was again, 2014, everything gone. So what do? Do you just wallow in your misery? Well, that's kind of what I did. I started blaming everybody else and everything else. I blamed the economy. I blamed the bank. I blamed everybody. But you know what? It was still my problem. And It didn't matter what I wanted to blame. I had to deal with it. So I'll tell you what I did. It was crazy. I mean, man, it caused a lot of problems in my relationship. But I went to a 3-day seminar to learn how to flip houses. And I know your listeners are probably going to be like, man, doesn't this guy ever learn? And listen, it wasn't about the seminar. It was about how low I had gotten. I had nothing to lose. And by going to this seminar, they were giving away a free iPod shuffle. It was one of those Chinese made ones, but back then, but that's why I went.
Worked, right? I get it.
I still keep it. It's this little light blue thing that's on my shelf because it reminds me of what I did in the hardest times. An iPod shuffle saved me. But at that thing, I didn't learn a lot about flipping houses, but what I learned is I met 2 guys, Mike and Greg. And these guys were the rock stars in the room, the speakers, and what they were doing was the complete opposite of everything I'd ever learned about how money works. And I'm like, wait a second here. If this is what they're doing, what is all this nonsense that I've been learning my entire life? I'm like one of the top advisors in the firm. Like, why wasn't I taught this? And that's where the story begins, man. That's kind of where it began. And that was 2014 when I started to see the truth. I started diving in. I did whatever it took, maxed out credit cards, traveled, got mentors, did everything that it took to learn from the wealthy because they were very wealthy. And I started mentoring with them, and they taught me the secrets of the wealthy, the things they do that they don't teach. And that is now today. So now we're in 2020. I couldn't be more prepared for what's happening right now. But I'm more prepared than anything else to help people, because I truly believe the only way you're ever going to get anywhere in life is if you bring some people along with you and you help, because the problems that need to be solved are other people's problems. And if you solve other people's problems, they will solve your problems.
Absolutely.
Sorry I went long with that, but it's so important to understand what has happened, because that dictates what's going to, that's how you're going to react to it. And that's where we're at.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you giving the run up on the story, because that gives the listeners an idea of where you come from. I mean, that's what you said at the beginning, and that's what it is. Now, you've gone through a couple of major breakthroughs just in the story you told me. First off, going from starting off, opening up these shops, and 2008 happening, you basically losing all of it in a sense, right? That's a lot of people would be dead in the water right then and there. So how did you have to mentally get over losing, or having a business that failed, so to say, and continue to push on? How was that from a mental standpoint? What did you have to go through to get there? Because I only asked that question because a lot of people could be running into a similar situation today, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure they are. And back then when I was losing it all, I mean, the one thing I just kept thinking about, if I quit, which I wanted to, folks, I wanted to quit so bad. The pain was so much. It was just like everything. I could only focus on the negatives. All I could remember in that time was like focusing on the worst things that were happening in my life, and everything was falling apart. All I did is focus on that. But the one thing that got me through was I knew that if I quit, game over. Because the only way to truly fail is to quit. And I've always been a fighter. I mean, I became a pro snowboarder, out of Buffalo, New York. And that was because I wasn't willing to accept that you can't be a pro rider out of Buffalo. And as a kid, I grew up with nothing. So if I wanted something, I had to go out there and hustle to get it. If I wanted jumps in the back, I had to go dig holes to get dirt to build jumps for my BMX. If I wanted a mini ramp for my skateboard, I'm not even going to say this, but I had to find wood somehow. So I found ways to get wood. But you know what I mean? You just find a way. And at this point in time, I just had to find a way, and quitting wasn't an option. That was the biggest thing that kept me through it. It wasn't easy. It sucked. It was, God, I sometimes think I just hope nobody ever has to go through what I did. But unfortunately, people are going to go through that here. They already are. And we haven't even hit the worst of it.
No, I don't think we have. And you know what, that has allowed you to grow as a person and as a business owner, as just grow. Those tough times are really what shapes a person, right? I mean, it's not the easy times and things are super smooth and no problem, no issues, that doesn't allow you to grow. But these problems that you had to go through, number one in 08. So was that the first time in 08? Was that when you started to lose everything? I'm just trying to recap your story.
Yeah. I mean, early 2000s, I didn't lose everything. I didn't lose everything in the early 2000s. It's just my dreams of being this big, entrepreneur kind of got shattered because I had to go back to work. But that's not enough. That you don't really learn a lot. You just learn, okay, I gotta get a job. And I just so happened to land in the financial world, which was, one of my biggest blessings. But 2008, that was the one that that was the one right there. And then 14 was even worse.
You and everybody else, right? Or a lot of people got crushed in 08. Whatever, you had to revisit your business. Things went south. We might be turning into that today. Would you agree? I mean, this could be.
You don't want my opinion on what's happening right now, because it would scare a lot of people. Good. All right, I'll go there. I'll go down that rabbit hole, because I absolutely know exactly what's happening, because I study history more than the average folk, and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen.
I mean, that's what I think. I really want to get that out of you today, because it's important for people to understand and make sure that they are prepared to weather the storm when it comes through, right?
I got something perfect. Do you mind if I just pull a whiteboard over? Because visuals tell a story of 1,000 words, man. So as we're going into this, I've got something that we're going to use, because it's really going to help people understand where we are and where we're going. I know there's a lot of scribble there, but there's only a couple lines we need to focus on. Yeah, I've been teaching and teaching people a lot about what this is and how to basically prepare. And real estate investors to just average person, how do you make it through this? Well, you focus on the facts, and you focus on exactly step by step what you do. So you just tell me where you want to go, man. And this will just be a reference as we get into it.
I guess let's take 2014. That's a good line to start in, because really 2012, 13, 14 here in Phoenix, 2012 is really the turnaround when the market really started to increase. That's when, we start to see the line going up from a consistent basis, right? So let's use 2014 to today, or till pre-COVID-19 today, I should say.
Okay.
Explain what you saw happen during that time, and why it was so easy for people to get access to funding at very, very cheap. And you could really fake your way through this marketplace and be very successful. Let's start there, and then we'll break into what this graph, because I think I know what this graph looks like or what it's saying, but we're going to explain that for the listeners so that they really crystal clear understand where we were, what led, what allowed where we were to happen, and what is not going to happen moving forward, and what you need to prepare for. How's that sound?
So it sounds great. So you got to remember in '08, one of the things that happened is, trillions and trillions of dollars were pumped into the systems. But basically back then it was a failure of the banks in the financial world, right? And they let a couple fail, but then they really stimulated the banks, and all that money went into the banks, which it took years. So that gets us to 14 for that money to actually make it to Main Street. So by 2014, when many people had really started to see real estate as a very, very lucrative place to start doing, because you could buy houses cheap, because in 14, the coffers had started opening with foreclosures. All the houses and the people that lost houses in, 2009, 10, 11, now you started seeing those hit the markets. So that's where, from 2011 straight through, where a lot of real estate wealth was made. And I mean, when I say real estate wealth, I mean hundreds of billions of dollars in real estate wealth. So that was 14. But the reason money was so easy in 2014 straight on through is because the injections of capital into the system. There was so much money in the system that we just had this literally completely false sense of reality of what was really happening. So if this was 14 right here, you literally had a straight line straight up. The only blip in this whole line was in 2011 with the Euro crisis, but that was down here, right? This is 2011. This is 14. You literally had just an uninterrupted skyrocket of the markets, of the economy. I mean, there was so much money in the system that getting money for your deals, you got to remember when Wall Street's doing really well, Wall Street tries to diversify and find other places to invest in. It was no secret that real estate was one of the greatest places to invest. So money for real estate deals through hard money lenders, through, banks, through all these different programs became very easy. And it made for, I always say, my friend Stefan wrote a book, and it's called Hard Times Create Strong Men. But it also says, that good times like we were in for so long creates weak men and women. And it did. And because this was so easy, we all lost sense of patterns. We lost sense of what reality really was, because everything was so easy. Making money was, literally, I don't want to say it was easy because it wasn't for everybody, but it wasn't hard. There was plenty of places to work. There was plenty of opportunities, and there was money for everybody. Yep. And then all of a sudden, when you got, so right here, this mark here, which would have been 2019 is when I saw the signs of, and I didn't know this was going to be a virus. I just knew that the average pattern in a market cycle is 7 to 10 years. 10 is never really happens, but 7 years. So from 2008 to 2019, that's too long. A market cycle doesn't go that long. And it did. And it did because of a president that was very pro-economy, pro-business, and it pushed it, and the politics just played into what was going on. But if you couldn't see that something was coming, you were blind, or you were just completely ignorant to the truth of what was going to happen. So what was coming was shown in so many signs. For the last year, you literally could have predicted the market was going to go down. And if you read some books like Ray Dalio's book, or you read The Creature from Jekyll Island, you would have saw that those books told the story of exactly what was about to unfold. And those are just two of many books. Right. And what was about to unfold is what you just saw happen. Literally for those of you listening, just so you all know, this is the COVID-19 economic crash. This just started 2 months ago, folks. We're not very deep into this. Matter of fact, we're at the very beginning of this. And a lot of people are still in a false sense of reality, thinking that it's just going to bounce back. When they find a vaccination, it's just going to bounce back. But here's the facts. The facts of the matter are, we had really good times for far too long. And as the cycle will always repeat itself, history always repeats itself. So will it happen here. So before I go down to kind of what's happening, I mean, what do you want to dive into with the ride up? I mean, is there anything that you think you want to hit?
I think it's important to also understand that there's a lot of foreign investment that was coming in during that run-up period, right?
China, everywhere, India,
Canada. I mean, I have some private investors that are from Canada that they were just pouring money here because it was a very safe place to put their cash. And that's where they felt like they could get a lot of bang for their buck. That's what was moving in here. And so that gave a false identity to what was going on in the marketplace at that point. It was just massive expansion, right? I mean, we came out of the '08 Great Recession or whatever it was called exactly, to come into this great expansion period where there was nothing but run up to go to because we were at such a low, right? And so now, what other factors did you see that were allowing people to have this massive expansion? Like in the, if we're talking about money secrets specifically, what was the financial sector doing that was allowing so much capital to be pumped into the marketplace?
When Trump came into office, he got rid of a lot of the laws that were put in place that basically made it a little bit more restrictive to have access to capital, whether it be through banks or jumbo loans or hard money lenders. It just, all of a sudden, the Dodd-Frank rules, which really crippled a lot of these things, they got loosened. I didn't say they went away. They just got loosened, or maybe people just found ways around them. Lenders found ways around the Dodd-Frank by lending to corporations, and people just got smart. And that's it. It's a constant evolution of knowledge, really, is what happened. But I think you're absolutely right. Money was coming into the United States from everywhere. There wasn't a place on earth that didn't know we had the strongest economy in the world, and everybody wanted a piece. So, I like Toronto because it's my northern neighbors. I mean, I can tell you, I know of tens of millions of dollars just from a few people that have flowed into the States just from Toronto because they can't invest there. It's too expensive. Right. And the States offered these unbelievable programs. It was very easy for them to get their money here. And that's basically there's too many factors to really talk about why there was so much money. But basically, it all started with the bailout that happened in 2008. That money that was pumped through the system doesn't just vanish. It doesn't just end its place. Money's always in motion. That's the thing people need to understand is we are not taught to keep our money in motion. We are taught the big lie, which is basically give up control of your money, put your money in 401ks, put your money in the bank, and let somebody else manage your money. That's what we're taught our whole life. And because that's what we're taught, we are never in control of our money. And that's the biggest thing people need to understand is they need to take back control of their money, but they just don't know how. And the problem with that is nobody's going to tell them because there's no money in that. Advisors are never going to tell them because that would put them out of business. Banks, oh my God, don't tell banks you're not going to make deposits there, or you're going to do it differently, because that's what they rely. They take your money, they lend your money out, and they make 400 to 1,300%. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's the business they're in, but you can learn something from that. If you just learn what banks do and you mimic that, and you just learn that your money always has to be in motion, it's so easy to do. And I don't know how much we're going to get into that today, but the biggest things I teach people is how to take back control of their money and then how to make their money work for them. Because what people don't do is make their money work for them. People go out and work hard and make a lot of money and do a great job of working hard to make money. But then just like take equity in their houses. So many people have had massive increases in the value of their house, which means they have tons of equity. And the American dream is let's pay the house off. Let's pay the house down. But then what do you have? You have a liability, because that's what your house is. Every house is a liability because you don't know how to turn it into an asset. So you got this liability that's got all this equity. Here's what I want you folks to listen or to think about. Imagine coming home after a really hard day of work. You will open your door, you're exhausted, and you look over to your couch, and on your couch is your money. Sitting there drinking your soda, eating your potato chips, watching your TV, and there's a mess all around your money. And your money looks up at you, looks back and says, "What? Did you have a hard day?" When your money's been just sitting around all day. Folks, like, you might laugh at that, but that's exactly what your money does, because you've just given up control of it and you don't know how to make your money work. It is so easy to take that money, the equity in your house. Before this thing started, and right when it started, the biggest thing I told people to do, rush out and get as many lines of credit opened up. If you don't have a home equity line in your house, shame on you, go get one, because there's no reason you shouldn't have one. Then when you get it, for real estate investors or people that know how to move money, get your money out of those lines. Shuffle that money around, because if you can learn from 2008, in 2008 and 9, banks froze all your lines of credit. Okay. They took your ability to get that money. Even though you were approved for it, they took it away. If you had a home equity line of credit, guess what happened? It either got closed or it got cut in half or even more. If you don't think that can happen again, you got to open your eyes. Take the rosy colored glasses off, because this is kind of how you're looking right now. You're like, oh man, this is cool. Take them off. Like, the rosy colored glasses have to come off right now. This is the real time where you're either going to see this as an obstacle or an opportunity, and you got to make a decision. You got to draw a line in the sand, because there is no way to be on both sides of that line. This is either going to be the biggest obstacle of your life and you're going to suffer dearly. You're going to bury your head in the sand, or this is going to be the biggest opportunity you will ever see in your entire life. You will never see this again. None of us will, because we're I don't care how young you are or how old you are. This will be the last one of what you're about to see happen, because here's the reality of where we're at. You don't know this, but where we're at right now, we are seeing depression numbers. So if you didn't think that the Great Depression could happen again, you are going to witness it again. You're going to. And I want you to not be scared of that. I want you to understand that so you prepare for that, because people during the Great Depression, you hear all the bad because that's all the media focuses on. But there were people that were made billionaires back then during the Great Depression. There were billionaires made in 2008 and 9, and many of them, more millionaires than any other period in 2009. Why? How would a negative period like this and like that create so many millionaires? Because in hard times, people's ideas happen. In this giant pivot, like right now, we're doing this here. We might, for stuff like this, we might have done this in person. We might have done this, traveling around. We can't do that now. Everything's a big pivot right now. And if you're not willing to pivot, you're going to fall behind, and you're going to realize how hard these times can be. The opportunity can't happen for you if you don't follow one specific rule. The most important thing I can tell any single one of you is you must understand that in order for you to thrive in these times, you have to help people. You have to help people solve their problems. If you aren't willing or don't know how to go out and help people solve their problems, you will fail. And I don't say that lightly. You will. Because if you think you can just do this with just helping yourself, that's not the way this works, folks. It's not the way it worked in 2009, and it's not the way it worked in the Great Depression. You must focus on helping people. And the second you do that, the second you help people solve their problems, your life will transform overnight. Overnight.
I mean, that's a great point. That is absolutely, Tony Robbins says it the best. The ultimate way to live is to give, right? I mean, that is absolutely true. And he's one of the people that I look up to and have for a long time that continues to give constantly. And if you look at his life, he has no shortage of anything, right? Now, we're going to get to, by the end of the call here, how you can help people and a place where I can point people to allow them for you to help them. But first, I want to go back to the chart, because I think we didn't end up talking about exactly
Not really.
that and where we're going to go. Let's push it. Now is the top of that. Now 2020 today. Is that what I'm seeing?
Right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's go out 6 months, and then let's go out a year, and then 5 years from here, because I think that the differentiation is going to happen it's going to be very different between the three. I have my own thoughts. Let's say I want to hear what you have.
So, well, let's start with 6 months. We have to just look at the facts. The facts are so easy to see right now. Number one, Main Street is closed. Look out your window, drive down the street. No businesses are open. And if businesses aren't open, guess what else is happening? Unemployment numbers are going up by the millions. Unemployment numbers are going up. First off, the unemployment system can't handle this long term. So that's a big problem, but we're not going to go there. Not only that, so many people are like, yeah, but the government's bailing it out. The government is giving the average household $1,200. If you got some kids, it's a little more. How long is that going to get them? A month? A month? It's not going to get them 6 months. It might get them a month, maybe 2 months if they're really good with their money. But most people aren't. They're just like, oh, free money, I'm going to blow it. Okay, so you got stimulus, but then you got businesses, right? Well, what's going to help businesses? Oh, the PPP loan. Oh, the economic disaster relief loan. Do you guys realize that the economic disaster relief loan was supposed to be $10,000 per business, just to get us through? It ended up then getting changed in the final hour, and now most businesses are getting a few thousand. It's $1,000 per employee. You think that's going to help? That might pay the utility bills for most businesses. PPP loan for the payroll. How'd that work out, huh? Who got that money? Publicly traded companies. There's plenty of charts out there showing who got that money. So the small businesses, the backbone of America, they're going to go out of business. I hate to be bad. The government can't bail Main Street out. And it won't. It can't do it. It physically can't, and they know it. They're just trying to play a media play because it's an election year. But what else is happening? Okay, so Americans aren't going to be going back to work anytime soon, which means people are going to go bankrupt, which also means businesses are going to go bankrupt. In 6 months from now, you will see people starting to see the signs of losing their houses, or at least going to lose their houses. Pre-foreclosure will skyrocket, okay? Businesses will start closing and going bankrupt by the thousands. You might see as high as 60% of American businesses out of business. And what will happen to the stock market? Well, we had this little pop last week right here, okay, which was speculation. People literally got a false sense of reality thinking the markets were going to go back up because there was hopes, speculation of a new coronavirus vaccination. Do you realize even if they had a vaccination right now, this problem doesn't go away? But they're not going to have a vaccination until the end of the year. And that would be a miracle. That would be the earliest. That would be a miracle if they had a vaccination.
8 months is really what you like, the very
minimum.
Going?
Bare minimum.
Bare
minimum.
But who's going to take that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
not
not taking
me.
it, right? So who's going to take that? I mean, but back to your story, right? So keep going. Didn't mean to
So
interrupt.
6 months, just follow the red line. That's where it's going. This little line, this little dot, okay, this little circle, that's probably where we'll be in 6 months. America will be crippled. Okay. People will be trying to figure out what their next move is. They will be downsizing. They will be doing anything they can, but that's 6 months. And even in 6 months from now, you're going to see the ripple effects of how bad this is going to be, but it won't really even take hold then because there's still $2.2 trillion in stimulus money that will help keep it alive then. Fast forward 1 year. I don't know. Start reading some books about the Great Depression. That's all I can tell you, because that's where we'll be. That's exactly where we're going to be. But as bad as that sounds, what you just don't understand is in light of these hard times, strong men and women will emerge. Leaders will be born, and they're being born right now. People will take the baton and be the light in the darkness. And it's happening. In 2008, Uber and so many other companies were found then. Those things, those companies are starting right now. You just don't know. Those opportunities for you to invest in those companies are right now. And listen, here's the other thing. As bad as this looks, as bad as the depression looks, it doesn't mean money vanishes. Money just changes direction. And right now you're in a massive pivot. Money is going to change direction. It has to, but it doesn't happen on its own because the average public doesn't understand how to make their money work. So there comes you. All you need to do is get the knowledge to understand if you know how to make money work and you know then how to go solve people's problems, you can then rise to be that leader. And it's so simple. Let's say you're a real estate investor or you want to be one and you know that the markets are going to go down, which real estate is already going down. It's just not every part of the country, but it will. You'll see a retraction of 10, 20, 30% in real estate. Some of you will go out and buy real estate like we did in 2009, 10, 11, right? You'll buy real estate, but you'll need money. Well, where does the money come from? Well, everybody thinks, oh, it's going to come from the bank. The hard money lenders. Folks, hard money lenders stopped lending about a month and a half ago, okay? The banks, right now they're lending, but they're being very critical. So you might not fit that little square box, which just I can't draw a box that small. It looks like about that. So if you don't fit in that, you're probably not getting money from the bank. So where's that money going to come from? I'm going to tell you. It's going to come from your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people that are right around you that trust you because you are the only one that has the opportunity that will solve their problems. And here's the problems people are going to have. How am I going to pay my car payment? How am I going to pay my kids' college tuition? How am I going to keep a roof over my family's head? How am I going to put food on the table? These are real problems that real people will have. Your real estate deal, whether it be a rental, or flip, it'll be too early for flips, but your real estate deal provides the means to solve those problems. So how can you go out and tell somebody how their house can pay for their car? I just told you, if they've got a home equity line and they're smart enough to get it because you told them they should get it, now that home equity line can fund your deal. You can then pay them whatever return you want. Because if you bought a house 30% under value, rents won't go down too much. Rents will retract a little, but then they'll pop because people, when they lose their houses, they need a house to live in.
Right.
Hence, your rentals. You see what I'm saying? It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. We've already been there. This is just going to be multiplied times 5 or 10 from what you saw in 2008. But the people that don't learn from the past will never make it through this. And the people that don't stand up and start taking action right now and protecting the money that they have, hoarding the cash they have, getting access to cash and waving the light in the darkness to tell people, I can solve your problems, then that's never going to work.
Yep. Amen to that. Amen to that. What, gosh, I mean, so many questions on where
there is. And I apologize to go down these rabbit holes, but this is such a critical time right now.
I mean, it is, but I don't want to scare everybody because that's not the intention of this, right?
I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to scare them to get them to take action so they know that you can't just sit back and do nothing.
Right. So you can't sit back and do nothing. But now in a time of all this uncertainty and all this, what's going to happen in the marketplace, now this opens up the massive opportunity to do exactly what you just talked about. Uber, start a new business, take over a failing business that failed that you could put into, turn around and make, right? So now you can go out and buy a business that at 30 cents on the dollar, 10 cents on the, whatever, you can get it for free maybe, who knows? But this is the opportunity when you can really thrive. So what are a couple things you can tell the listeners to really take action on today so they can put themselves in the right spot to be able to move forward and thrive?
So everything you've been taught about money, throw it out the window and start realizing that the money that you're giving away, the money that you're putting in your retirement plan. I know retirement's important, but for some of you, retirement's 15, 20, 25 years away. Is that going to help you get through this? No. So look at your 401ks, look at your retirement accounts, and let's take back control. If you're putting a bunch of money into a 401k because you want to retire someday, how about we focus on how you can change the rest of your life's financial future just by stopping that, and then take that money that you have there and let's put that money to work in something today that you never will have that opportunity. Because the beauty is right now, the government just passed some new laws and some new rules with your 401ks and your retirement accounts. You can do some really neat things. I'm not saying it's right for you, but you can access $100,000 in withdrawals from your 401ks and not have to pay the early penalty fee. Now, that might not be smart, but you can also use loans from your 401ks. If you're buried in debt or you got a great opportunity, you can take a $100,000 loan from your 401k. But that's scary too, because you have to pay that back or you'll be taxed. So those are a couple. Go out and get lines of credit. If you have good credit and you have equity in your house, get on the phone. Second you're done listening to this, get on the phone with your bank or call community banks, because commercials are going to be tough. Call community banks and get lines of credit. Get a home equity line of credit, get access to the capital, and then start telling other people what you learned and that they should do this. Because everybody right now, unlike before, they're now willing to listen because they're scared. And if you have the answers, then you can do this. So money is everywhere. Sources of money are everywhere. 401ks, there's like $42 trillion in 401ks. IRAs, there's a lot. I can't remember what the number was. 7 trillion in IRAs. Teach people how to move their IRAs into a self-directed IRA. From a self-directed IRA, do you realize you can do anything? You don't buy real estate with your self-directed IRA, but you can loan that money out. Let's say the guy knocks on your door, your best friend starts the next company, which could be the next Uber, and they want you to invest. You can use your self-directed IRA to invest in their company. You can start your own company and find ways through other people's self-directed IRAs where they can invest in your company. Listen, get control of your money is the first thing I would tell you. And it's simpler than you think. Getting control just means stop giving control to someone else and letting somebody else and just say, oh God, I need your help. Like, can you help me? Can you do this? They can't, they have no answers because they're using conventional financial knowledge. You just need to bring this back. And also the biggest thing I tell people is right now, I wouldn't trust banks at all. If you got a ton of money sitting in banks, you need to learn some things about where that money should go. Because if you look at the Rockefellers and all the wealthy, they don't use banks. They use mutually owned insurance companies. That's where they house their money because they're safer and they earn a better rate of return there. Plus, they have full liquidity to take their money and still make interest on their money. Again, I don't have time to go into that, but that is literally probably one of the most important things someone can learn is how to reallocate their funds and change one thing. And that one thing is just change where your money is going. That's it. And if you do that, you will take back control and then you can do that. But so many people say, well, I don't have money. I don't have equity in my house. I don't even have a house. I don't like all this stuff is great if I had all this, but I don't have resources.
Right.
Awesome. Awesome. Take everything I just said and apply that to your friends, your family, your coworkers. Help them understand what you are learning. Read books. I mean, like Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, read The Private Money Guide, read the 501k plan. I mean, there's so many books that hold the answers to exactly what to do with your money right now. Just teach other people how to be the bank. Teach other people how their money in their house, their money in their 401k, their money in their retirement accounts can be that thing that's going to save them during this time because of your opportunity. If you don't have the money, find the opportunity and tell people about it. Because if you're just too scared to talk to people about money, get in front of a mirror and start practicing right now.
Yep. No, I can't agree with that anymore. You can't be afraid to talk to people. That's a lot of people's number one fear though, right? They don't want to get out there and not say the right thing or say misinformation, whatever. The reality is you just need to start talking. I started this podcast not knowing a thing, and now we're 110 or some episodes in, and that's
incredible.
Pretty good. It's a good thing, right? But the first thing you have to do is get comfortable with being uncomfortable going out there talking to people. Now, Chris, let's give some people, obviously you can go pick out a book, and actually at the end of this call, we're going to do a lightning round. I'm going to ask you for a couple of book suggestions for people. Okay. But where else can they go? What can you offer them? How
about I just give your audience something for free that they want? How about if I give you guys my private money guide? We didn't plan this. It just came to me. What if I give every single one that watches this, I'll give you a copy of this, my audio book that we did at Capital Records. You can have the Private Money Guide. This book literally shows you the solutions to finding money, where to go and how not to ask for it, where it all is, everything in here, how to structure your deal, everything you need to know It's right here. I'll just give it to you guys for free. You can have the audiobook. It'll be an MP3 because that's the only way I can give it away for free, but you guys can have that. So I'll get you the link for that. So find a way on how you want to get that to your audience, and every one of you can have that book. The other book that would change your life, I mean, I don't mean to keep using my books, but honest to God, like this book right here will change your life. Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. We just finished this book. That's a great book. Another book is Becoming Your Own Banker. R. Nelson Nash's book. It's changed more people's lives than I know. Think and Grow Rich. That book was literally written during a period of time like this. And that book has changed hundreds of millions of people's lives. I mean, that's where you go for knowledge. If you need knowledge, you're going to have to start working for it, because knowledge isn't, oh my God, look at you. Holy crap. That's insane. Think and Grow Rich, Private Money Guide.
And it's all here, right here.
Dude, that's just so awesome.
Right now.
That's crazy. We couldn't have planned that, folks. And trust me, that wasn't like me giving the book away wasn't planned. Oh man, sometimes things just happen because they're meant to happen. But
that's exactly right.
You have to start seeking knowledge. So where is knowledge? Well, YouTube's gotten, good, but it's flooded. Google, you're only going to get paid ads. So what are you going to do? Find people that are speaking the truth, find people that have failed before, and then figure out a way to work with them. And when I started, I didn't have money. I basically went out and I did everything that it took. I didn't care if I had to grind. I didn't care if I had to do cold calls for people. I did whatever it took to get them to help me. Just show me one gold nugget. Give me one piece of gold and I'll do what you need me to do. I'll give you, 40 hours of my time and you teach me how to do this. That's what you need to do. If you don't have resources and money, you have time. So use your time the best way you can. And the best way to use your time is not sitting on your phone playing video games. The best use of your time is to go out and solve people's problems and serve and go out there and help people. Give, because like you said, Tony Robbins, like if you give, you get, but you can't expect to get. So, gosh, there's so many places I could send people. I mean,
so you have an online academy, right? That's what I was getting to, because I
figured, and I'm dancing around it because I listen, folks, I am the worst salesperson on earth. I really am. I want to give, and I never actually get down to like telling you what it is I have. I've created probably one of the country's #1 communities for financial education, and it's called Money School TV. It goes by MSTV, and when I created this, it was a pivot from a live event that we pivoted to an online platform. My wife told me, because I told her what I was going to charge for it, and she says, no, you're not. She says, you can't charge that because people don't have money and everybody needs your help right now, and you're just going to have to figure a way out to make it work. And I said, okay, sweetie, I get it. How much should I sell it for? And she said, $19 a month. I said, sweetie, we'll be bankrupt. Like, we can't support this on $19 a month. And she said, you know what? You better figure out how. So I put my head down, I crunched numbers, and I found out how to do it. So it is Money School TV is an online platform with trainings, but the trainings aren't just boring trainings. They're trainings that are relevant to what's happening right now and exactly what you should do. So there's trainings on there that I did, 2 months ago when this started that aren't as relevant as they are right now. But every week we're putting new trainings. We do a 2-hour-long group coaching. You have access not just to me, but you have access to my mentor, Randy Garn, and other people, Scott Duffy, and all the people that I pay thousands and thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to. I bring them on the show to teach you what they know. And you get all this for $19 a month. And not only that, we have now put resources on there and training modules on there for things like stock trading, how to make $200 to $2,000 a day in 10 minutes. We call it the 10-10, 10% in 10 minutes. Now, that's not for everybody because that's day trading, but literally I show one simple strategy. I don't get crazy with it. If you follow that strategy, you almost can't lose. So if somebody wants to trade this downward cycle, it's very easy to make money when the markets are going down. So it's all this stuff. And it's literally, there's no strings attached. It's $19 a month or $190 a year.
I mean, it's a great deal. It's a great deal. And I wanted to put that out there because I think this is
I'm sorry.
People need. They need this, right? Everybody can pick up a book, and the reality is a lot of people won't. So now they came up with Audible for audiobooks, so you can download an audiobook. And some people, you can do that, and people still won't do that. So I want to give people the opportunity to have options on where they can go to find this financial education. Financial education is one of the things that they don't teach enough of it, right? They should teach that from the second you start elementary school all the way through high school. Our country would be drastically different, but they won't because people, won't make money. Some people won't make money, right?
Absolutely.
So one of the biggest things I want to do for the listeners here today is to make sure that they have access to what you have to offer so you can help them and help, give back to them so that they can turn around and give to their people, right? I mean, this is a constant thing. that we need to continue to keep doing. So
Yeah.
anyways, I appreciate you
Well,
sharing.
I mean, Money School TV would be that. I mean, I already gave you guys this book for free. And you know what I'll do is I'll even make it better because I know what these books will do for you. I do.
Okay.
Now, whether you read it or not, but if you do Money School TV, okay, for $190 a year, which gives you 2 free months, I'll give you the book for just the shipping of $5. So I'll give you a link that will give you the book with the MSTV, and you just pay the extra $5 and I'll ship the book to you and I'll personally sign it. Hopefully there's not that many that come through because it's just me packing books right now. But yeah,
that's perfect. And we're going to make sure to add in the show notes for anybody listening up to this point, because I know everybody is still here from the very beginning of the call. But if you're still listening, make sure to look in the show notes. For those that are driving in a car listening to this right now, is there a simple place, a simple link to go to for them? We can tell them right now. So that
it's easy. It's Money School, REI. So Money School and then just REI, real estate investor. So moneyschoolrei.com/TV.
Okay,
Just think of MTV and it's just moneyschoolrei.com/TV. Not a hard one to remember.
Perfect. Well, everybody that's listening to this in the car, remember that as soon as you get out of the car or stop at a stoplight, go on there, sign up real quick. He said you get 2 months free if you sign up for the full year. Anyways, it's not a sales pitch. It's really just to try to help you. I mean, that's the most important.
And it will. And I promise you, I can't even begin to tell you how much it will help you. Even if you use it barely at all, it will change the way you're doing things. I promise you that.
Well, let's keep going with that. Chris, this has been great. I've loved having you on the show so far today. For sake of time, are you ready for a lightning round?
Let's do it, man.
All right, let's do it. All right, first question is, how important do you feel that mindset is on the success of your business?
It's everything. Mindset's everything. If you're focused on the negative, you're never going to focus on the positive. And if you dream it and you believe it, you can achieve it. I just had to say that because you held the book up.
Yep, that's exactly it. This is the one.
That's it.
Hey, what's the last book that you read?
Last book I read was this one right
your
here.
own book.
Yeah, not my own book. No, I don't read my own books. So the 501k plan.
Okay.
So this is from the father of the 401k, Ted Benna. It's the 501k plan. This book's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. What are you trying to learn at this point? You know, as we start to go into this shift, what are you focusing on right now?
The biggest thing I'm focusing on is how do I get people to not focus on the negative and how to focus on the positive by taking action, because I struggle every day with getting people to take action because they're paralyzed in fear. So the biggest struggle and the biggest thing I need help with is how do I cast a wider net and how do I get people to take action on things that will change their future in these times? I don't know. I'm struggling with that.
You know, and that's a great thing. I'm glad that you're putting the time and effort into trying to learn how to do that. I think it's a human psychology issue is really where you're going to run into there, because it's very, very, very difficult to convince somebody to think differently. They need to understand that for themselves. You can put all the tools in front of them, but unless they're willing to take action, it can be tough to do that. But the fact that you're going out there trying to figure out how you can push people to go to that point, I think is phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that.
Trying everything from forcefulness to cowboy hats to funny. I'm trying to get them to just realize like you can't get anywhere if you don't take action.
Absolutely. Very true. Taking action solves all problems. Now, do you have a superpower? And if you do, what is that superpower?
My superpower is every morning. This isn't much of a superpower, but every morning I have 2 things that I do before anything. First, I get down on my knees and I pray, and it's very short, and I just thank God for the day. Second thing I do is I drop and I do 40 push-ups because that clears my mind and it keeps me mentally and physically aligned and in shape. Now you can't go to the gym, so that's my superpower is I do the same 2 things every single day, no matter what.
And you know what? There's no excuse for that, because that probably takes you, less than 5 minutes, less than 10 minutes? I mean, it's easy.
That early in the morning, it feels like it takes an hour, but after you feel great.
I love
Gratitude and physical exercise.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent in that. Anybody that follows me on social media or knows or sees that, that's a big part for me as well. So I'm glad that that's the same for you. How do you like to give back?
I like to give back in a lot of ways. I don't care if it's simply just, donating money to a good cause or giving something to somebody for free, like the book. Just give. That's my give back. It's a simple thing. There's no one way about it.
Well, you've given a lot on the show so far. You've given the listeners places to go, what they should be doing next, how they can get educated themselves so they can get through this, what we're going into and thrive through it. That leads me to my final question, which is how can they get in touch with you directly if they want to find you, want to pick your brain? Obviously, Money School TV will get them connected. But what if if they want to find you somewhere else? Where can they find you?
Yeah, the easiest way to get me is you can get right on my calendar, and I probably shouldn't do this, but text Chris, CHRIS, to 33777. That'll get you right on my calendar. And just when you do that, like I'm going to give you 15 minutes. I've never done that. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'll give you 15 minutes. Just have your questions ready. I'll answer any question you want, and I'll give as much as I can possibly give. And outside of that, if you don't want to set up a call, just go to Instagram and go to Chris_Naugle, Naugle. I still answer every single private message myself.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Another way that you're giving back. And Chris, it's been phenomenal having you on the show here today. Really, really glad that we had the time to, get to hang out. So for all the listeners that got any value, obviously take action, do what we are telling you to do. Also like and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you don't miss another episode. Share it with your friends. This is real stuff. And we want to make sure that we can help as many people as possible. But once again, thank you. And we'll talk to you real soon.
Absolutely. The time is now, folks. Just like my watch says now.
I like it. Thanks, man.
Thank you.